What is blooming in October? The seasons change, our gardens change, what comes in and out of bloom changes. So I'd love to share with you all the things that are looking gorgeous, blooming beautifully in my October garden. Hi you guys, this is Nicole from My Carolina Garden. My garden is located in Zone 8B in southeastern North Carolina. So I have a coastal garden in a warm climate. The things I'm going to show you today are things that are blooming and thriving in my garden. So of course we understand that this isn't going to be the case in all the growing zones. Nevertheless, these are my beauties and I'd love to show them to you. I also want to just note that I don't want to just show things like garden mums, for example, that have just entered into my fall garden, but instead I want to show you the things that have been thriving and blooming for a long period of time this year, because those are the real gems of the garden. It just so happens that right where I'm standing has two things that I want to show you. Both of these things have been blooming since late spring and are perennial right here on the line in Zone 8. So one of them is my Oleander. So this Oleander with its pink blooms is actually something you see all over Wilmington. So lots of people have this plant as perennial and it gets big. So the blooms are plentiful, and it's like once this tree, shrub, plant started blooming, it didn't stop. So the Oleander is one thing, and then I wanted to point out my Bengal tiger canna lilies behind me with its orange blooms. So the canna lilies are a different kind of blooming plant. Unlike the Oleander, once it starts, it doesn't stop. No, they're a little bit more sporadic. You do have to clip off the pieces of the plant that have died back, and then you will get more blooms again. But the canna lilies, one of the things that's awesome about them is how tall they get. So when I am looking from my house, which is in this direction, out to my garden, the canna lilies are so much taller than a lot of other things that the blooms of orange just pop all over the place. Without having to go far at all, I have two more beauties to show you right here. So the blanket flowers are something I talk about a lot because they're prolific bloomers in my garden. Now the blanket flowers are much more cold tolerant, so they can be hardy up until about Zone 4, depending on what variety you get. Now these guys in particular are so plentiful and do so great in my garden, I think largely because they love the sandy soil that we have here. So it is well draining, that's something they love, and they are also a no muss, no fuss kind of plant. You don't need to give them this crazy rich soil for them to thrive. It's just not necessary. My biggest thing with these guys, I want to say almost a little bit of a downfall, if you will. I have so many of them all over the yard that deadheading is actually a very big project for me, and it's not something that I love to do. But again, these guys started blooming earlier in the spring, and here we are in October still looking amazing. So that's awesome. The rich, vibrant color of the Dipladenia has not dulled for one single second. Now the Dipladenia is a tropical loving plant, so it is not cold hardy even in my Zone 8. So I actually was able to take this pot indoors for the winter, and when I brought it back out again, the bloom started to come back for me. So I'm not afraid to overwinter things if I have the room for them, and the Dipladenia is definitely worth my while in doing that because I get this rich color to enjoy throughout. So from spring through fall, yep, I'll take that. If you like the kind of content I provide, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to my channel to ensure that my videos continue to show up in your feed. Do we have fans of the hardy hibiscus here? Well, we should. This is another cold tolerant plant, which is fabulous because do you see this beautiful summer vibe flower on here still coming out in October? I love that so much. Now this particular perennial hibiscus is the Starry Night. Obviously you can see the dark foliage with the light pink flower bloom. I just absolutely adore it. And for the fact of it saying, don't forget about me, I might look like summer, but here I am in fall, I absolutely adore it. This is yet another canna lily with the orange blooms, so same color flower as the other one, but the variegation on this foliage is reds and oranges mixed in with the greens, so it's an awesome fall vibe between those two things. Right here in this section of my garden, I have 3 pink beauties that I wanted to point out. The first one is this cane begonia. This begonia, I love to say that begonias are those kind of flowering friends, because once they come into your life, they don't want to stop blooming for you. So this begonia is also really awesome because you could break off pieces of this stem and root the begonia right in water. This was actually a plant that I had overwintered last winter and it looks gorgeous. Again, I have pieces of it everywhere. So the begonia has been amazing. This is the, what are you? Like a twister pink lanai, I think it's called, verbena down here at the bottom. So while we may not have a billion blooms like we did in the spring, the verbena over here is still great because it's green, it's flowering, and it keeps showing me those little pretty pink spots that I love to see. This dahlia, my pink dahlia, oh my, this is dahlia season, a lot of people say, and I know a lot of people are showing off their beautiful images of dahlias. Well, this one is on its second flush for me. It did flower in the spring, it's flowering again now. I love it, it's beautiful, and dahlias are perennial for me here, though I am right on the line. Like zone 8 is kind of like this line that you might find some that are hardy to zone 7 or something. But I feel very, very fortunate that the dahlia gets to stay in my life, and I wanted to make sure I pointed out her beauty. The dragon's breath celosia that self-seeded in my yard from a plant I had previously, this is just starting to open up with its gorgeous flower-like, feathery, soft flowers on top of this. So this gorgeous baby, yeah, you see it in the garden centers now for the fall season, but again, this one self-seeded for me, didn't even have to buy it, and the color looks awesome throughout the growing season. The gorgeous bougainvillea that you might find as like an amazing perennial in Florida or an even warmer climate than I have, this baby has been a stunner, blooming on and off throughout the entire year. Because this is also a warm, loving plant, I do have to overwinter this one in my greenhouse, but no regrets at all because I even had blooms happening while it was in the greenhouse. So talk about lifting up your spirits in winter or when there are gray skies or cold temperatures. Oh my goodness. I have another style dahlia, labella medio here, and another smaller plant right here. I just wanted to point that out. I know dahlias are all the rage right now. Lots of people are showing gorgeous pictures of all their beauties, and you can see why. The flowers are different on different varieties that you get, but again, I'm very thankful to have the dahlias coming back as perennial for me here. Now, as I said in the beginning, I wasn't going to be showing all like the garden mums that are just out right now, but I did want to point out the beauty of this Vitamum with its starbursty shaped flowers. That one is going to be perennial for me, but again, it's seasonal, so it's only been in the ground for maybe the last few weeks or so. However, right next to it is my blooming kaleidoscope Abelia with its multicolored flowers and multicolored foliage. This has been an amazing shrub, and this kaleidoscope Abelia is going to be evergreen for me as well. So the flowers on it are just like a little bonus. Another long blooming perennial for me is the pollinator attractor, the lantana. This lantana is a shrub. At this point, it gets bigger and bigger each year, but oh my gosh, it's a magnet for the butterflies and the bees and just everything beautiful. I do have another variety of the lantana, which I just got, so it does come in different colors, which is awesome. This one looks a little more like summer to me, a little pink lemonade-y, if you will. This one is called Lantana Ham and Eggs, also perennial in my area. Thrilled to have it because look at all these plentiful blooms. So we just talked about garden mums and said that we weren't going to include things that have just gotten here. Well, how about these guys? These mums, which are perennial again, have been with me for probably 7 years at this point. So I just have a mix of colors in here right now, but these are worth mentioning because they do come back. The colors are great to have at this time of year, and again, they suffered through the drought with me, they suffered through the flooding with me, all the things, and here they are. These are probably some of the last black-eyed Susan blooms that I have, so just pointing them out along the way. I have so many flowers that are still looking good in my front peninsula garden, so let's just point them out quickly. Heading in this direction, we have the Bella Grande dahlia. I have shown that one before. Red and white blooms. Many more blanket flowers, of course. I do have some purple asters down here. This plant was transplanted, so we don't have a lot of things looking good just yet, but this is the Super Trooper Dianthus. Back here we have the Denver Daisy Rudbeckia. A couple of different kinds of Canna lily, a coral one here and an orange one a little bit further back here. But the gorgeousness I want to show you is the guara. The guara is just looking so good. Look at those delicate blooms. I have some drift roses out here, still attracting the bees. And then I have 3 azalea bushes that are all fall bloomers with a little bit of red, adding some fun into the landscape. What a journey we are on as gardeners, just day by day, week by week, month by month, changing things around, beautifying, growing, starting new life. Oh, it's just awesome. Hopefully you enjoyed the things that are blooming on my property. I didn't show you things that maybe had little onesie twosie blooms because I didn't feel like that was quite enough to give you the impact that I was going for. If you do like my videos though, please subscribe to my channel and tell YouTube that you would like to see my videos show up in your feed. Thank you so much for watching, for all of your support, and until next time, happy planting.